What is going on, all my Philadelphia Eagles fans? Welcome back to another episode of the J All Day NFL Show. Today, we're talking about the Philadelphia Eagles. We're going to go over the free agency moves. We're going to go over the 30 visits. We're going to go over the depth chart. We're going to just figure out where the Eagles could potentially go in the first round of this draft. I think it's going to be trenches, but safety and cornerback are not out of play either. We're going to go over what some of these pundits are expecting the Eagles to do in this first round. But first, let's go over the free agency tracker. All these moves, who's coming, who's going, and if you want more Eagles updates each and every Sunday this offseason, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that like button. A move I really like is Azeez Ojulari, the linebacker. I like that move. Kyle Granson, the tight end. The Avery Williams is in town. Patrick Johnson, the linebacker. I like that move. They brought in a long snapper, Mr. Charlie. Adoree Jackson, very solid cornerback, very good against the run. In coverage, he's pretty mediocre, but a solid, aggressive player in the run game. Harrison Bryant, the tight end. They brought in Uche, the linebacker. I like that move. I love the A.J. Dillon move. It's going to be a great compliment to Saquon Barkley, so we're not ripping all the tread off the tires before the games matter later in the season. Then we also got Kenyon Green in the trade for C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Flat out, he was pretty terrible last year. But Stoutland and Howie think they saw something in him that they could turn him around. Former first-round pick, 15th overall in 2022. And they also brought in Dorian Thompson-Robinson as they shipped Kenny Pickett to the Browns. All right, here are some key departures. Fred Johnson, gone. Oren Burks, linebacker, gone. Paris Campbell, gone. Mekhi Becton, offensive lineman, he's gone. Opens up a big hole at right guard. Josh Sweat and Milton Williams both signed monster deal. Sweat with the Cardinals and Williams with the Patriots. Kenny Gainwell over to Pittsburgh, as well as Darius Slay signs a one-year deal over there. They released Bradbury and Isaiah Rodgers. Pretty big loss, you know. Goes to the Vikings, 2 years, $15 million, right? Okay, so let's take a look at the depth chart right now and figure out, do we want to fill any holes, or are we going to more concentrate on depth, right? And some guys that are on expiring contracts like Dallas Goedert, maybe we bring in a tight end. That could make some sense early depending on who's on the board still. Steen is in play at right guard. He's been okay. He's not as good as Becton, I don't think personally, but, he's still a young guy, right? Relatively speaking, not even 25 yet. Good size, 6'6", 320. Great pedigree coming over from Alabama. He played about 400 snaps last year, right? So not a tiny amount, but not a lot either. In the time there, the grades didn't really do him quite great justice, right? Better run blocker than pass blocker. That pass block rate is pretty bad. So, okay. Now, bringing in another wide receiver interests me a little bit as well, right? We got two guys on monster deals, A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. A.J. Brown will be 28 this year. Still pretty freaking young though, man. And Devontae Smith is even younger, right? Yeah, 26, right? So, but Dodson was pretty mediocre, so a slot guy, a lot of good slots. Matthew Golden, Emeka Ibuka, really good slots in this draft, right? But Lane Johnson's probably got 2 years left, so bringing in a heir apparent to him definitely makes some sense as well. And beefing up the D-line, always a need, right? So when we're going in our base defense, remember we're in our 3-4 scheme. Nakobe Dean's hurt, so he probably won't be back till like November-ish, give or take a couple weeks. So bringing in an off-ball linebacker definitely makes some sense to me. And then bringing in some depth for Hunt and Ojimo for sure on the D-line, respectively. All right, now let's just go over what Mel Kiper thinks. Mel Kiper, he's drafting Walter Nolan, the D tackle from Ole Miss. I mean, that seems to be, I don't know if he's going to get to us at 32 because from what I'm hearing, scouts really like Walter Nolan. He does come with some off-the-field issues that could have him slide a little bit, but Jalen Carter had those as well, and it all worked out just fine so far. Right? So I do like Walter Nolan. If he's on the board at 32, I think they go D-line. I really do. Because they never drafted a safety in the first round. tight end's more of a second, third round thing for the Eagles, when you look back at the last 10, 15 drafts, right? So that definitely makes some sense to me. Bringing in a guy like Walter Nolan at 32 overall. Close out this stupid ad. Okay, these are the guys from Bleeding Green Nation. In the first round, they got Jalen Walker, who I think could potentially slide to the Eagles. If you break down a little bit more of his tape, he's got a high missed tackle rate coming in at over 12%. He's also not the best guy in coverage as well. So he's got a lot of development to do at the next level, in my opinion. I think there can be some growing pains with him. So I don't know if a team is going to risk early drafting him, right? There's been mocks with Jalen Walker going to the Panthers at 8. I think that's a very, very risky deal. But if he fell to the Eagles at 32, they got to really consider it because he could be a true impact player, can play off ball or just line him up on the edge, pin his ears back and go get the quarterback, right? He could make sense in Fangio's scheme. And then in the second round, they went Ben Morrison. If you watch my channel, you know I love Ben Morrison, dude. He's super talented. I don't know if he lasts till 64. The Eagles might be in a trade-up situation in the second round to get a guy like Morrison. And Ashton Gillott, I don't know if that's how you say his last name, but I just watched some tape on him. Very impressive guy. Very, very impressive. They have a tight end going, Mitchell Evans, in the fourth round. He's pretty mid in my opinion. Nick Nash, a guy I like out of San Jose State, very productive guy. In the fifth round, Connor Colby, a guard from Iowa, one of the better late round guards. I do like this mock draft. And Quinn Ewers, quarterback in the fifth round. That could be interesting. I have been watching a lot of tape on Texas, and him and Matthew Golden were great together. Quinn Ewers, taking a flyer on him, could be interesting, right? Fifth round pick, not a ton invested in him. And they got Simon Barrow Jr., the D lineman from Miami. A lot of fifth round picks for the Bird Gang. All right, now this is the guys from Fox News. They're drafting James Pierce Jr. to the Philadelphia Eagles. It is alarming. Character concerns popped up with James Pierce as well. I don't think he's the sharpest tool in the shed. He forgot his shirt at the combine, had to run in a hoodie. It's just stupid stuff like that. He's definitely a little immature. Could he fall to the Eagles at 32? I'm not sure because he's got a ton of raw talent. And a lot of these teams in the middle of the draft, like the Falcons, are very desperate for edge rushers, right? A lot of these teams drafting 10 to 25 could all use really good pass rushers, man. Even the Lions, pairing him up with Aiden Hutchinson could be awesome, right? So is he available for the Eagles at 32? I doubt it. But if he is on the board, you have to really do your due diligence for sure, guys. All right, here's an article from CSN Philly. They're drafting Josh Simmons, the offensive tackle from Ohio State. I love Josh Simmons. But the ACL injury is pretty bad from what I'm hearing. Patella damage, it's not a great injury, especially for a big-ass offensive lineman that needs some lateral movement to get out of their kickstands to block these monster pass rushers, man. You know what I mean? So it's when they're kicking out, they got a lot of lateral movement. I don't know. You got to check the medicals. Obviously, we're not privy to those medicals, but if it all checks out, Simmons is a dog. If you watch his tape, very sticky blocker, good hands, and if he gets his hands on you, these guys weren't getting off the blocks. He was extremely impressive. He was my favorite offensive tackle prospect when I watched all the tape. He was the best, in my opinion. The injury sucks, but we'll see. But it would be great for him getting drafted by the Eagles because he's got a couple years to heal before he's expected to play, right? With Lane Johnson on the right side, he's got a year, maybe even 2 before he's got to start. And when you draft him in the first round, you get that 5th year option, which is huge for a guy coming off an injury, right? Just 1 extra year of control. 5 years for Josh Simmons would be great. Okay, one thing I want to show you guys, very important, is the 2025 draft prospect visit tracker, the top 30s, right? I think I saw a stat the other day about the Eagles drafted 50% of their draft picks were top 30 visits, right? So definitely take that into consideration. Jalen Travis, the O lineman from Iowa State, 6'8", 339, 3 years at Princeton before transferring to Iowa State. At the combine, ran a 5.14 for a guy 340 pounds. That dude's hauling some serious ass, guys. 340. Jeez Louise. He's a monster. Okay. The next guy, Marcus Mbow, O tackle, O guard, 6'4", 303. Probably more of a guard at the NFL level. Those 32-inch arms, anything under like 34 inches, probably considered a guard by most NFL scouts. 33 you can get away with, but 32, very short arms when you look at the percentile basis. So he's chippy, smart, athletic guy, definitely more of a guard in my opinion. Then Josh Connerly Jr., 6'5", 311. Definitely has to get a little bit stronger in my opinion from watching the tape. He's great at mirroring. He's a very good pass protector, right? But he's very susceptible to power rusher. So that, to me, means Josh Connerly Jr. isn't that strong in his lower half. So maybe learning from guys like Saquon Barkley, get him on the squat machines. You got to get a little bit stronger in your lower half for sure. And then Anthony Belton, offensive tackle from North Carolina. Good size, 6'6", 336. Prototypical tackle size. Pretty much every NFL tackle's in that 6'6", 325 or above frame, right? So he could play right guard. He could play right tackle. So far, there hasn't been a lot of these released, the top 30 visits, but this is the tracker that's releasing all of them as they come out, right? It does say he's a little bit older, so that's definitely a guy who's going to be a later round pick, in my opinion. You want to get the younger guys in the first round, get that extra year of control, that fifth year. I think it's really, really important. So, guys, every week I'm going to update you on these top 30 visits. They're huge, man. They are freaking huge as we go forward. It kind of really gives us an idea of what the Eagles are thinking, who they want to spend time with more. And like I said, I think it's around 60% of all the guys they draft came in for a top 30 visit, right? So they're doing their extra due diligence, and it's paying off on draft day because they're selecting these guys, right? So if you want more Eagles updates, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. I appreciate you guys. And the draft will be here before you know it, guys. Less than 1 month away. I'm going to do a live stream for the entire draft, so make sure you stick around for all those updates. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Go Birds. Peace.